Now, say my name.
The Rolling Bad Podcast.
You're goddamn right.
Welcome to the Rolling Bad Podcast, episode number 8, coming to you from the desolate wasteland of Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're recording on September 19th, and I am your host, Elric Edge. With me tonight are
Bill Costello
and James Tapia.
On tonight's episode, we're going to be discussing the latest releases from Games Workshop, what we've been up to in the game and the hobby, the ITC, which has just been released concerning Age of Sigmar, discussing what we're doing for the upcoming LVO, and other things as well.
and some listener feedback.
We got some listener feedback. A question that we'll address later on.
The countdown stands at 2. 2 more episodes, and
Yeah.
Ben Curry will listen to us.
We're coming for you, Gary.
Yeah. And America's coming with us.
Yeah. The Realm of the New Dawn, where we're going to discuss what has come out from Games Workshop over the last couple weeks. Not much in the way of Age of Sigmar. In fact, I don't know if anything for
Well, Gorchosen hit the
officially
streets, yeah.
released. That's true. Other than that,
There's really...
the Warlords tournament.
Yeah.
Yes.
They did live coverage of the entire thing that they streamed, and now you can go to Warhammer TV and watch
All 20 hours of it.
20 hours of it.
You'd have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning like me.
Yeah. So you watched the whole thing? Did you
Yeah, I
watch the
pretty much watched it Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, because I watched a few minutes of it. I was kind of busy, but I wanted to check it out, and I have to say it was very cool, but very weird at the same time to see a live sports-like coverage of a tabletop war game.
Yeah, with some
Um,
witty commentary.
Yeah, with the commentary and all of that stuff, all during the actual game, and discussing lists and tactics and the players while they're making their moves, and kind of gives me the feeling that a couple of years from now we'll be getting like statistics and
Yeah, up on the screen.
yeah, exactly. They'll be doing little yellow line marks on the table to show how far the models have to get
It's
to make
first
things.
and 10. For
Yeah, right. But it was really cool.
Yeah, it really hit me during that part 1 at the very beginning when Rob Syme was talking about the stuff. It sounded like he was actually almost putting on that sportcaster voice.
Oh yeah, he's
just-
pretty good.
He had me in stitches because he was covering it like, a football match
Yeah.
or, a cricket match or something. And I was just dying because I really thought he was putting it on, but then he carried it through the whole thing. I think that's him.
Yeah.
It's just cool. It's funny.
Yeah. And I just found out about an hour ago that he's going to be at the LVO, so
Yay.
I'm pretty happy about that. I get to meet him.
Hey, who knows? Maybe you'll be on one of the top tables and you'll get, the overhead view.
Let's not get crazy here.
Everything you do wrong will be
Yeah,
forever.
exactly.
Yeah. Hopefully the Lord of Layers himself,
Oh,
the
yeah.
Duke of Dry Brushing, the
Yes.
Prince of Paints will come down.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Wearing 2 layers of clothing, 2 thin layers.
2 thin layers.
Multiple thin layers.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, see, but if he shows up, I won't be able to play in the tournament because I'll just be following him around like a little fanboy.
Well, yeah. I'm sure
Duncan,
many
can I
people
pick up
will.
your trash for you?
Yeah. You need another foot massage?
Yes, that's me, sycophant, number 1.
That was pretty cool. I mean, it was interesting watching some of the top players
Yeah.
play. I mean, it was a little hard to see what they were doing because the camera angle was just overhead.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but it was interesting seeing how they play, what happens. I know for Russ's games, I was cheering for him the whole time.
Nice.
It was fun. The first game with the
Fire Slayers and Bloodbound.
going against it was
Game. Are you talking about Sunday?
yeah, it was with Terry Pike.
Terry Pikes.
was playing against, and you didn't really see what was going on and why he was doing some of the things he do until that interview afterwards when he talked about how he had to use the Lord of Change's dice roll
For the
thing
priority on turn.
to do the priority, and he lost it, and it screwed his whole game. And really, on turn 1, he was in pretty good shape, and it went downhill fast. So it was interesting to hear his comments afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But right there, during the middle of the game, when they were trying to suppose what was going on, well, what's he doing that for?
Yeah, I think they talked about that too. I think they said that. Well, it was their first time out, so they, they learned a lot, and I think they mentioned that they're going to have maybe some different angles, or maybe look at have like a commentator right there at the table, giving them information. Because I think they were set up like 20 feet away from table 1, so I mean it's not like they were right there.
But you also got to balance that with, if the guys are playing at a table, you don't want to interrupt their game constantly. Why did you do that, Jim?
Yeah, exactly.
I'd freaking reach out and slap you.
Yeah, or maybe they'll have I know another way. I think
if they could mic up the players and have the players be that kind of person that would talk through what they're doing without giving away their future.
Well, that would be interesting. Someone mentioned that, and I think they said some of the table talk might not be appropriate for live streaming.
A lot of bleeps. Plus, you're asking gamers to, I don't know, it's kind of that socially awkward group of people sometimes.
I think if you get the right guys, you can pull it off.
That's the thing, you don't get to pick the right guys. It's supposed to be
it's just the random top table.
Yeah,
that's true.
I know for LVO, I'll be hoping to be up there at table 1 at some point.
Yeah. We'll see. It should be good. So I think that's it for Age of Sigmar.
Really, that's it. There's not much.
Yeah, it's definitely a wave of 40K coming at us. We got Trader's Hate, the new Chaos Space Marine supplement, which is like the Angels of Death supplement we were talking about. Where it just
Angel's Blade came out Saturday, right?
Yeah, it was just the Blood Angels.
The Blood Angels side of it.
Awesome. Like, I've been listening to some 40K podcasts talk about it, some of the more positive ones. And yeah, it's really cool. One of the interesting things I heard was a guy named Andrew, I cannot remember his last name, on Forge the Narrative. And he was talking about Chaos Space Marines and how Chaos Space Marines are the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Yankees of 40K, in that overall the game is better if that nemesis, that bad guy, is better. And that's the thing with the Cowboys or the Yankees. They're a very they're a team that
they're
polarizing, yes, very very much so. And so with Chaos Space Marines, if they're up there and people have to focus on have to take that into account when they build their lists and stuff, it just makes the whole meta, as it were, better for everyone. So I thought it was a funny thing to say, but it's really accurate.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's very true.
What else came out for 40K?
Gene Stealer Cult.
That's right. So Games Workshop actually came out with like a almost 2-minute long video announcing the release of Gene Stealer Cult coming up in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's really exciting to put in that kind of effort for a release and announcing it ahead of time. It's just so cool to see the new stuff that they're doing. I know it's not the like 10 years in advance that, Privateer Press and some of the other companies do to let people know what's coming, but it is cool to finally start getting a little taste.
Yeah.
Especially before like blurry pictures in a weekly White Dwarf can ruin it. They're just like, no, here's a hint. Well, it's not even a hint. Here's what's coming. Stay tuned for more content in regards to it. So,
well, and then they deliver on it, because you go to the different social media forums and they have more teasers there, and they're putting it out in the app. And so, I mean, you're getting all kinds of info and teasers. Obviously, they're doing it to make money. That's what they're in business for.
Right.
But I love what they're doing.
Are you excited about the Chaos Space Marine and Blood Angels, James? You played more 40K than either of us.
The only thing I like in 40K is demons.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that really kind of relates to fantasy. I'm more of a fantasy player than a 40K player, so it's all Marines, it's all the same.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
And then the Forge World interview with Adam
Choke, yeah.
Yeah. So they did an interview with Adam Choke from Forge World, and he was discussing The Hobbit.
Yeah.
and the future of The Hobbit. And I have to admit, when I first saw something, the header for the video or whatever was like the future of The Hobbit or something like that. And I was like, okay, well, they're probably going to announce that they're going to wind it down and everything. And no, actually, Forge World is going to carry that torch and do The Hobbit. And I remember seeing leaked photos. Well, they weren't really leaked, but they were pictures from the latest Forge World Open Day or something like that. And there was a picture of a Durin model and the new dwarf models from the Battle of the Five Armies scene. They're absolutely fantastic. Some of the best dwarf models I've seen from any range.
Yeah.
They're just to scale. Like they're anatomically understandable.
Yes.
I guess I should say.
Yeah, they're not overdone. They actually look like Tolkien-esque dwarves should.
Yeah.
And they just have that feel next to everything else from the Tolkien line that those are the dwarves.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
they're going to make their way over to other games.
Yeah. Depends on how much they expand that line. But yeah, and he made it sound like they're going to be putting tons of effort behind The Hobbit as a game. There's a new rulebook coming out, and they're rebranding it. I can't remember the name.
Oh, he said it too. Gosh darn it!
Yeah,
it's something that ties the three movies in together. It's like it was There and Back Again, or
something like that. Yeah.
I forgot what exactly it was, but I wonder. He didn't drop any hints about it, but I wonder if that book, that new rule book they're coming out with, is going to have anything taken from Age of Sigmar in it, because that's a game that screams Sigmarize me.
Yeah. So, well, I can't really say too much. I tried playing the Lord of the Rings battle game way back when it first came. The strategy battle game way when it first came out, and didn't quite comprehend it, and there wasn't enough people around here that were interested in it, so it just never took off. But there are some rabid followers of that game. I know that. So,
and it could use a trick. It's already a skirmish game. It's not a rank and file game. So throwing the Sigmar rule system at it probably wouldn't hurt anybody's feelings too much. You're not talking about, there's not going to be a big magic phase. There's only a few magic tossing characters. So
yeah,
that game actually does kind of scream for the Sigmar treatment. I don't know if they're going to do it.
I doubt it. I imagine they'll keep it fairly separate, as a separate entity, as much as they possibly can.
Either way, it's the Hobbit game was not that bad. I thought some of the models that came out were, wow,
extortionately
really?
Expensive.
You mean I can get these 3 trolls for only $100?
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty rough. I do always wonder, though, about how many calories Forge World will burn on that instead of something for Age of Sigmar or even 40K or stuff like that. I don't want to discourage anybody who really enjoys that game system, though.
Heck no.
And I'm sure they're very excited to hear that they're going to continue coming out with content. Even if it's fairly slow, they'll still be getting something.
I think it's a last gasp. If this doesn't go over, I think it's over.
Yeah, maybe so. It certainly seems like I'm very interested to see where we'll be a year from now from just Forge World.
Yeah.
Because of all Blood Bowl is got some kind of announcement thing that showed an orc player.
It's a new season.
Yeah, said something about a new season. They're supposed to be coming out with Necromunda again and Mordheim and Epic. Yeah, 40K Epic, which I'm really excited about.
The minute that hits,
yeah, that should be good times. It'll be interesting. Maybe these will just be like one-off board games.
Might be.
That would suck.
I don't think Epic would be, but
actually, it makes the most sense. Make an Epic version of 30K, and it's just a board game.
Yeah, well, that's true. Well, or is there, is he? So.
Yeah. So, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what they do.
I think that's pretty much it.
Did have an addendum to AOS for the Warlords event. We did get confirmation that they are going to be issuing, or maybe not issuing, but they're going to be adjusting points on a regular basis.
That's true.
Yes.
We got that from their live stream, and then I think afterwards they sent a email to all the event attendees saying, hey, give us your list. We're going to do some number crunching, look at some feedback, and possibly do some adjustments.
He even said that the General's Handbook could be a yearly release.
Yeah, that's what they said.
Which probably means that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, because that's what they pointed out, that none of the War Scrolls are going to have points on them. That way, they just update the one book.
Yeah,
all new points.
That's the way to do it.
And that gives us hope for a PDF on the website that you can, maybe they publish the book once a year, but once a quarter they put the PDF up and say, guys, here's all the new points. Have at it.
Yeah, but they're going to have to do something here pretty soon if they have a new release. They're going to have to, because we're at the end. There's nothing new in that General's Handbook.
Yep.
Right.
Because so whatever that new release is probably going to issue in some kind of other supplement or an updated General's Handbook.
Yep.
Because they're going to need points for those new models.
It might be why we're seeing a brief lull in Age of Sigmar releases.
That way you don't feel bad about the $20 you spent on the General's Handbook. At least it's good for, 6 months or something like that.
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting.
It could be that GW is going under and they're bankrupt.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd be interesting to see what they do. It might give us a hint of their future roadmap in that General's Handbook, just like we got with the new, like we saw the Beast Claw Raiders in there before.
Yeah.
We saw the Bone Splitters in there before. We were just talking about them pre-announcing stuff. I mean, it doesn't get much more pre-announcing stuff than that if they got to, put the next year's or 6 months releases in that General's Handbook.
Yeah.
For you to, so you have those points when they come out.
Yeah.
Yep. Boy, and people be frothing at the mouth. I want to play that now.
Yeah, really.
I know. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm just looking forward to anything and everything that comes out at this point.
Nothing's been a dud in so long. Well, except Grumbrindal. But
the
that was a
white
dud.
dwarf. Wah, wah.
I can't. How do you screw up your flagship dwarf? But hey,
rules are cool. It just sucks that they rehashed it.
Recycle the model.
Yeah. It doesn't look like anything like previous white dwarves. Oh, well, whatever. I think that horse has been turned into glue by now. So,
yeah, I don't think we have to beat them up anymore.
That's pretty much it for new releases. I don't even think there's any real whispers at this point, I think.
Yeah, we have a whisper, but it's not a whisper. It's a fact. So anyway, the biggest news in the last couple of weeks has been the fact that Fantasy Flight Games and GW have reasonably amicably parted ways. GW has pulled their license from Fantasy Flight, and Fantasy Flight agreed to basically kind of let the lines sell out rather than just cancel them. So
yeah, I think they're going until February or something like that. Yeah.
So it seems like a pretty amicable split. You kind of saw it coming. I know. I as soon as Fantasy Flight announced that miniatures game that they were going to produce, I was like, boy, how long can they?
I totally forgot that they were making that.
Yeah, that to me was, GW can't. They don't like competition in their own house.
Well, I don't think anybody would.
No.
And Fantasy Flight Games has gone from being a small little game developer to they make the most popular tabletop game with X-Wing.
Yeah.
And apparently Armada is number 2.
Yeah, it's right behind it.
I don't know if I really count those because there's no hobby associated with them. It's just a game.
Well, and that's their whole approach is they want to eliminate the hobby from the game.
Right.
That's Fantasy Flight's always been about. You don't need to do anything. You open the box, you play the game. Because
isn't there rank and flank stuff they're supposed to be coming out with in the future? Yeah, pre-painted,
everything. You throw it on the table, you're done.
Fair enough.
And it's they're hitting a niche. It's not us, but they're gonna get just on the basis of their name, they're gonna get sales.
Sure.
But I know if I see anything with Fantasy Flight branding on it, if it's anything I'm at all interested in, I'm going to buy it because it's quality.
Well, it also helps that pretty much everything that has Fantasy Flight next to it also has the Star Wars logo.
Well,
that's basically just like printing money at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Or the GW logo
So that's what I thought when I first read that little article they put together talking about the split. I thought, well, Star Wars has taken off so much in the last 2 years because of the movies and whatnot. In Fantasy Flight just does so much. I mean, essentially everything they do for Games Workshop, they also do for Star Wars.
Yeah.
The LCG, the role playing game, and now they do miniatures games with X-Wing, with Armada, with Imperial Assault. I mean, it's just crazy how much stuff they put out. My thought process was while Fantasy Flight is still a big company, they do have limited manpower.
Yeah.
And you have to ask yourself from a business perspective, like, take, for example, the role-playing game, do you have this team spend time developing something for the Black Crusade role-playing game, which was not that successful, or do they just put out a Hoth supplement, or, here's the player's handbook for Tatooine or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's obviously you're going to have them do the Star Wars stuff, and so it just makes sense that they let that split happen.
Yeah, I think it's a good move for both companies. They don't want to compete with each other. The IP's kind of run its course. I don't know how much more they could have done. They probably could have come out with some 30K stuff. But you see, GW's gotten so much better at turning out these games that they don't really need the Fantasy Flight production capability to put out their own stuff. So I think it was just a good idea to split for both of them. I don't see it as a bad sign for either company.
Yeah.
The IP was no longer worth. It wasn't in GW's best interest to have it out there, so they just pulled it back.
Minor whisper that kind of ties in with this a little bit. I saw posted in the Facebook group earlier today, Mike Saul, or I think he's used to be Red Satan on the on Daka Daka or something like that, but I think he made a post talking about either a new supplement, a character box or something for Silver Tower. It's got like 5 more model characters in it, including a Grayseer, Captain Tootie Toots, Dark Elf Sorceress, maybe. It just said Sorceress, and a Chaos Sorcerer Lord. I don't remember exactly, but apparently that's supposed to be coming relatively soon, which I'm happy for, because I was really hoping Silver Tower wouldn't just be a standalone Warhammer Quest thing. I was hoping Warhammer Quest would continue on and make more expansions. It's just the perfect game for that.
I don't know if I saw this in a dream or what, but I saw an expansion for Silver Tower coming out with a new book and using the same components but a different book to change up the game a little bit. And I don't know where I saw it. It must have been a bad dream or something, but
or a good dream.
Well, it was a good dream, actually. But yeah, that's one of those games that they could just turn out a new, scenario book and change the game fundamentally, completely.
Once a year.
Yeah.
You just put that out for your slowest month release or whatever, while you kind of catch your breath between 40K and AOS and get ready for that second exhale for the year.
Yeah.
And, just throw that in there.
Yeah.
Be perfect. Perfect filler. I think that's it for new releases. I knew it was going to be a fat section because, they'd definitely been cranking out the 40K.
Yeah.
And there were hints of AOS, I guess, in there.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So let's move on.
The Realm of Creation, where we talk about what we've been up to in the hobby the last 2 weeks. Elric, have you been up to anything?
I might as well call it the Realm of James.
No, that's true.
I've just been rebasing. I've just been plugging through it. I've gotten to a point now where I've just been rebasing Oryx. Like I said, I bought a bag of 100 of the 32 mils, and I didn't realize just how many Oryx I have. So I'm going to need to get another bag, and I'm going to stop for now and start working on assembling. I've got a ton of just art boys, so I need to look at what kind of kit I can load them out with. I'm leaning towards putting as many great weapons in their hands as I can. I like that loadout the best. I don't really rate art boys. I don't know if they're really that good. I know Chris Tomlin thinks that they're actually one of the clutch units for the army, so I'd definitely like to try them and see. I don't want to completely pass judgment without trying them out more, but I do have to say that I lean towards putting as much rend on the table as I can, seeing as how Ironjaws don't have a lot of mortal wound capability.
Yeah.
And then the other option is probably the shields for that extra resilience of having that 6 up against everything that comes your way. So see how many of those guys I can put together. That's the next bit of hobby that I have ahead of me, is assembling all those and then putting them on 32s and then I want to get all the Oryx on 32s. Then I'll start ordering buckets of 25 so that I can rebase the ludicrous amount of Moon Clan that I have. So, but that's all I've been up to.
How about you, Bill?
Well, let me see. I built a Panther and a Sherman tank. Oh, wrong game. No, for my Lizardmen, I built 3 Croxagore, the old Failcast models.
Pixar didn't happen. I don't see them anywhere around here.
They're right here.
Oh, fair enough. I was wondering what those were.
Yeah, they're at a stage right now where I've got to build the other 3 from the other box so that I can do the heat treatment, because they all need to be, all their weapon arms need to be heated up a little bit so that they fit on correctly.
You didn't build anything. You took them out of the package and put them in an egg carton. These aren't assembled?
And clipped off all the freaking Failcast.
Oh, yeah.
And put all the weapons together. Those weapons are all pinned, I'll have you know. So,
jeez.
Yeah, they're a pain in the nuggets. But I got to do the other 3, get them to that spot so that I can just use one big pail of hot water to make everything fit together. And then I'll get those painted up. And then I've got to do 60 skinks and a couple of Bastillodons and then, yeah, a ton of stuff.
You going to be ready in time for LVO?
Oh, yeah. I figured what I needed to do is I need to get these things built. I'll worry about painting them later, but I need to get them built so I can get them on the table and play with them.
So you know,
I got to get practice.
Yeah, because it's always different on paper than
when
you get in real life.
They get that Dreadsaurian put together.
Yeah, he's big.
I want to see that bad boy.
Yeah, so... But unfortunately, that's about it. I've gotten 3 Croxagores done. I was hoping to use this weekend, but I have to travel this weekend, so... Ho-hum.
That's how it goes. So I guess that's it for the realm of creation. I
think we're pretty much done.
Yeah, there's nothing else. All right, moving on.
All right, moving on.
So for our contact information... Oh, James, did you...
Oh, that's right.
Did you want to talk about...
Yeah, so I think last time we talked, I finished the Maw Crusher. And brought him over. Or I finished, the actual Maw Crusher himself.
Yeah, I don't think you were quite done. You still had, because I don't think the horns and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. I think I just had some of the base coats and basic dry brushing.
Yeah, to give me an idea of what it was going to look like.
So I started that Labor Day weekend-ish. I think that Monday before when we recorded. And then a week later, I finished them.
As you do.
As I do. Came out pretty good, I think.
Well, yeah. Games Workshop is asking if they can
publish it.
Put up a picture of it.
Although, to be fair, I was looking at that hashtag that they had. They had been asking a lot of people, so I don't feel too special.
Don't sell yourself short. It is a sweet-looking model.
Yes, it is.
And which has kind of given me a catch-22 because I don't think Ordrak's that good. But I really want him in my list for LVO because he's such an eye-catching model. And it'd be such a sweet centerpiece, but
just over that point limit for your sideboard too.
Yeah,
to just run him as a regular war boss. So, yeah, I'm torn, but he's a sweet looking model. So, everything great paint job.
That color scheme is just to die for. I mean, it's just hate to say perfect, but it's about as close as you can get. Those colors are.
Yeah, awesome. That orange it looks good on the Iron Jaws for sure. So
yeah, Jules liked it. He thought he was the #1 Broncos fan.
Oh God, it could be worse.
You could be a Dallas Cowboy fan.
That's
worse.
Yeah.
Sorry to all you Texas listeners.
So worked on that, and then I actually started my Sylvaneth.
Okay. Woo-hoo. Started painting them?
No. I think I've shown you the color schemes.
The schemes you want to do.
I want to do. So I pretty much settled on those, and I started converting the Kurnoth Hunters.
Yeah.
I got the idea.
Size. Yep.
All with the sides, and I started converting those to... People have probably seen them on Twitter with from, I think it's the Tabled Podcast. One of those guys have been...
Painting Tabled?
No, I think it's Tabled Podcast.
Oh, okay.
They do like a whole bunch of various tabletop games.
Oh, okay.
So I saw him on Twitter, and he converted them. He put the Tree Revenant bodies in the Kurnoth Hunters, trying to like that Dreicha look.
Yeah. No, they do look pretty sweet.
So I tried my hand at it, got my drill out and started drilling bodies and super glue everywhere. cut my fingers up pretty good with the razor blade, scraping that stuff out. So got 9 of those converted.
Nice.
And after playing our games and actually reading my rule book, I discovered the Tree Lord had some abilities I didn't know. So I'm actually going to be able to squeeze in 4 more Chrono Hunters for a total of 12.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we'll discuss that shenanigans.
So got those guys pretty much converted. I don't think I'm going to do too much to the Dryad in terms of conversion. I might convert maybe the Branch Witches, and I still have to decide if I'm going to convert my Tree Man and Spirited Durthu. So getting those and hopefully start getting paid those. I was actually thinking it was 5 months away, but it's actually more like 4.5 because LVO's at the beginning of February.
It's like the first weekend,
So it's pretty much
third.
the end of January. So we got halfway of September.
October, November, December. Then, January.
Yeah, so it's like 4.5 months. And I still got to do my army, do your Iron Jaws.
Yeah.
And me and Jules, I think we showed you that list that we're working on for his LVO list.
God, that's going to be...
So we'll keep that on the down low, but I got to paint pretty much that entire army for him.
He's got to start practicing with it.
He's got to start practicing with it. So we got all that to do. I mean, he's got his stuff he's going to paint. He's still going to paint. There's some stuff on there, though, that is going to be my models for my other armies. So that, if it's his stuff, he's totally free to paint it. But if it's going to be if I might possibly use it down the road, then I might want to paint it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So that, and then I rebased my High Elf army that I sold.
Yeah.
130 infantry with 30-40 cavalry, putting them all on rounds.
Nice.
I think I did that this weekend.
Wait a minute. You sold the army, but you rebased it first?
Yeah, well, I sold it, and then I asked the guy, did you want it? Because he wasn't sure if he wanted to... I wasn't sure what he wanted to use it for. If he wanted to use it for Kings of War or AOS or whatever. Gotcha. So I was like, I'll rebase it for, if you want it on squares, cool. If you want to use it for AOS.
Gotcha. Okay. I was like,
put it on rounds.
You're the kind of guy I'd like to buy from.
Yeah.
Oh, and then could you paint them first for me? Yeah, I'll buy them from you, though.
It was all painted.
It was all... Actually, I was looking at it. It was quite an army. But, I was looking at it. You get a little nostalgic when you sell your stuff. It's like, these guys are cool. Put a lot of work into these guys. I think the only thing I'll really, really miss out of the army is probably the Sword Masters. I think those guys are my favorite, but they're from the Island of Bloodbox. Oh. So those are lying around in droves. If I ever want to pick up more, I can pick up for pennies.
For sure,
yeah, really.
So, that's pretty much what I've been up to. Probably, like I said, I think I got to start painting some Brutes of Yours.
Yeah.
In the following week, start putting some some paint down for the Sylvaneth. Get that down and hopefully go from there. I'll probably be freaking out in a couple episodes. When I don't have that much done.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
We'll all be getting to that spot soon enough. So, hopefully.
Not me.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah. Because his problems are not your problems. They're his problems.
Yeah, but I guess it could become my problem.
Sure could.
We'll see. I'm not too worried about it.
Hey, that's one way to keep the Iron Jaws off the table. Just don't paint them.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, you got to get your list pretty much finalized.
I tell you right now, Bill, Iron Jaws are the least of your concern.
Yeah, I know.
Nowadays.
Oh, God.
Yeah, you got to get your list finalized here in the next couple of weeks if you want me.
Well, I assure you it's going to be loaded with brutes at the very least, so those are the workhorses, I think, of the army.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, the Realm of Battle, where we're going to discuss the games that we played in the last couple of weeks, do a quick recap, and what we've learned from those games. So, I had one game. I played against Andrew's Stormcast Eternals. He played the formation. Do you remember what it's called? It's 2 units of Liberators, 1 unit of Protectors, a Lord Castellant, and a Realm Gate.
Oh, it's like the Realm Wardens or something like that.
Yeah, so he was interested in this because it allows the protectors to re-roll their armor saves, and I believe anyone from the formation as long as they're within 6 inches. And then you have the Castellant there that can give up +1 armor to a unit. So he was giving it to a 15-man unit of protectors who had a 3-up rerollable save.
That's pretty darn good.
So we played the 3 Places of Power. I believe it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I took a list with Gordrak in it and some Brutes, a couple of War Chanters, and a unit of Gore-Gruntas. I've been trying to get Gordrak to work in vain, it feels like. He's very much a case of, on paper, he looks terrifying. On the tabletop, he is very much not so.
Well, what's he not doing? I mean...
He doesn't... This sounds bizarre, but he doesn't hit that hard.
Yeah,
I went up against a Castellant, a 5-wound character, and did 3 wounds to him.
What?
Yeah. Granted, the Castellant had a 2-up.
Yeah.
But Gordrak has the capability of doing mortal wounds with Cunning against a hero, but it's only on 6s to wound.
Right.
His other axe has no rend.
Oh, wow. I thought they both had rend.
The Maw Crush Big Tooth has rend 2 on his bites, which is good, but he's still saving on a 4-up with the reroll.
Yeah.
And then the other attack was rend 1 as well. And that was it. And I couldn't use my destructive bulk. And to be fair, we were kind of bottlenecked into the middle because I did a turn 1 charge. I kind of gambled heavily on just getting in his face and hoping to get the double turn. Or, well, not the double turn because I went first. And then I gambled on the double turn, which I got. But the Brutes just could not get through 15 protect. I mean, that's 45 wounds on a 3-up with a reroll.
Yeah, that's hard to get through.
Yeah. So the issue that I ran into with my Brutes is that they're an old conversion that a buddy of mine did, and they are like 40k knobs with Black Orc bits, and it's not just a kit bash. Like every single model has like green stuff work on it, and they're really nice conversions. But they were made during 8th edition when the unit was Black Orcs, which didn't matter what they were armed with.
Right.
You just had the wide array of weapons. Well, now with Brutes, they use them because they're the same size as the Brute models, and in fact, they look more heavily armored than the actual Brute models. Yeah. It matters what a Brute is equipped with.
Yeah.
And so many of my guys have the 2 hand weapons, which is great for like a unit of 5 or 10, but I kind of like to have a unit of 15 or 20 on the table, and the only way I can field that many Brutes WYSIWYG is with the 2 hand weapons, which means the guys only have reach 1. So when I got bottlenecked into that combat with the protectors who have range 3, his guys could attack all day long, and anybody that couldn't get essentially base to base from my side just wasn't putting forth anything into the combat. And then this is where I saw a big issue with just a pure Ironjaw's list is the lack of mortal wound capability. I mean, you can take the Weird Knob Shaman and cast Arcane Bolt or Green Puke or Foot of Gork, but I found that if you take a wizard or 2, they have a tendency to kill themselves because every time you roll a double, they do a wound, and if they don't have anybody nearby, they just cut themselves. And so that was a problem I ran into. Oh, and he also had a Star Drake, so he was using the Rain of Stars to pluck wounds on my characters, and if I got a character that's slowly damaging himself to throw some mortal wounds around it, ultimately I think what held me back is Gordrak. He's just so expensive for what he does.
He's very situational. Like if he's going against Valerial, cool.
That's the thing. I would love to actually roll that out and see if he can even take Valerial out. I'm not sold that he can anymore. I thought for sure he would before, but maybe on the 4-up, I think it's 4-up to wound wizards, he can do D3 mortal wounds, and that'll help.
So I wonder what he could do against the guy in the Star Drake.
Not much. Because the guy on the Star Drake has a 3-up. With that stupid shield that bounces wounds back.
Well,
that's what I'm thinking is every time you do a mortal wound, now you're going to eat it in your face. No,
he doesn't have mortal protection. His is only... So his is no. So his is if you fail the save on your reroll. If you make it bounces it back to you.
Reroll. Yep. Okay.
Right. Well, and then another big problem with Gordrak versus the Star Drake is I can't give anything to Gordrak. I can't give him an artifact, and I can't give him a command trait. You can with the Star Drake.
Because he's not.
And I used to think that the Templar on the Star Drake was the better choice, but now you can take that additional rend to a weapon and give it to the Lord Celestin on Star Drake with the hammer. And so he does D3, or he does 3 attacks plus D3 on the charge with a weapon that's rend 2, 3 damage. Right?
Go
D3 damage. Yeah.
But it's Ren 2.
Yeah.
That's just from him. And then the Star Drake doesn't mess around either.
He's no
So that's actually a bad matchup for Gordrak.
Yeah, it's a really bad matchup.
Yeah, that's what we've been finding with Jules' list with the special characters.
With Cetra or whatever.
With Cetra, you don't get those special items. You don't get those special command traits. And it kind of hurts you a little bit. I mean, yeah, you get some cool rules as a special character, but you're kind of missing out on those special tricks.
Yeah, and Gordrak's command ability just is not worth it.
Yeah.
The voice of Gorg, the +2, it's situational, and if your opponent knows what's coming with it, they can kind of anticipate it. It's very similar to a Banner Bro with like 10 or 15 Retributors.
Yeah,
I know you're going to come at me with that trick, so I'll wrap a cheap unit around something important to me. So it's the same thing with Gordrak. Like I know that one turn you're going to use that command ability, and your army's going to go ham on me. So I'll just kind of prep for it a little bit. You'll use it, and then you'll Inspiring Presence one unit a turn after that, and then you're done. So, whereas the WOG ability from either the foot guy or the guy on the generic boss on a Makrasha is just consistent damage all the time.
Yep.
So, plus you can give him a relic and you can give him a command trait. So that's what I'm gonna start looking into. Plus, it'll give me another unit of brutes.
Yeah.
For the point difference between the generic guy and Gordrak. So that's
still use him as the generic guy, and
that's I'm gonna look into that. I'm gonna play a few more games with that and see if he does anything. And if he doesn't, I felt really good about my list that was just a foot boss, a couple of foot characters, and then just waves of brutes. That seemed to be very difficult.
Yeah, it's a lot of wounds to go through and punch through, and
and it's a lot of efficient damage too because they hit wound on 3s.
Yeah,
I can get them up to 2s, re-rolling. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
So, but again, I want to try to have that model in my army for a while because it's such a sweet centerpiece.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna try.
So how did your game end anyway?
So yeah,
we got a little off track.
Yeah, we did. He won, but it was fairly cool. Well, no, he won. He had 2 6-man units of the prosecutors with the tridents and the spears,
the javelins.
The javelins.
Those are badass.
God, yeah, they are sweet, and they just were able to get to my characters, and there was just this awkward bottleneck, and Gordrak was just never able to utilize his full combat potential. So yeah, he ended up beating me pretty handily at the end. So
good for order.
Sure. Bill, did you get any games in?
Why, yes, I did, as a matter of fact. But it was Drop Zone Commander, so it doesn't really count.
We don't care.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
you play your silly, stupid sci-fi game somewhere else, buddy.
Drop Zone Commander? Never heard of her. All right. Just kidding. All right, James. I know you got at least one game in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think I had 2. I think I played Jules both weeks, I want to say. But the most recent one was Border War, the diamond-shaped one with the objectives in the middle and in your deployment zone. So
okay. Yeah.
we played that. He was taking his typical list with the Cetra. He actually was able to do a lot better in this one to about turn 3. He had actually killed... By the time I did all my shenanigans, I actually kind of didn't commit enough to one of the snake units. Kind of got over enthusiastic.
Oops.
And I failed a couple of charges, but then I kind of didn't remember in order to kill those snake units, you have to like wipe them out to the man.
Yep.
Or take out all the
support.
The banner guys behind them.
Yeah.
Which I forgot. Which I had a chance. I had a chance to take out at least one of them.
Right.
Didn't do it. Charged in some Chrono Hunters, a Spirit of Durthu. he landed up by end of turn 2. He had already killed, I think, 2 units of Chronoth Hunters.
Nice.
So I just had one
with the snakes, or
with the snakes, and yeah, I think with the snakes and both units of snakes he had done it with.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so
they're pretty
by that time, I was actually already into Cetra, and landed up killing him about turn 3, and that's when it.
That's when
that's when it swung.
Fair enough.
Because by the time when you take him out, those snakes, I mean, they're still pretty good, but they're not the killing machines that are hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s, doing mortal wounds on 5s. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, do you think that if you ran it as a single unit of 12, it would have been that much more difficult to deal with?
Well, I think actually, now that I think about it, he had actually split it. He split one on each flank, and then had Cetra in the middle. And Cetra actually himself had taken out one of the units of Chronoth Hunters.
Oh, wow.
Because he's pretty tanky. He's run 2, damage 3 with like
Nice.
4 or 5 attacks.
Damn.
Okay.
So I think that's one of his problems. That he's been playing Cetra very defensively.
Oh, yeah.
And not really just like pushing him out there to do stuff.
Cetra rules. Yeah.
Yeah, so we did that, and like I said, by turn 3, I'd killed Cetra, and that's kind of when everything just fell apart.
Yeah.
The Spirit of Dearth, who had been taking some damage, but by that time I already healed him up and dishing out 6 damage a turn with his attacks. Just, each one that goes through kills a snake and carries some wounds over. So by that time,
man.
And then of course he was in the forests, so did 20 wounds or something like that by the time I'm done casting my spells and rolling 5-ups for the forest to attack.
Yeah. That's brutal.
So yeah, actually it was pretty close, and then I think by the end it landed up being, actually I have the score right here. I think he had 11 to 31.
Dang.
Yeah, by turn 3 I was starting to claim every single objective.
Oh, yeah.
Which is 8 points, and that adds up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna go.
So we discussed it. I think we're changing his list. We're gonna go, because I've noticed he's a very, I don't know if anyone else has noticed, he's a very defensive player. He's a very cautious player.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I've just noticed.
Because when I played against him at the Slobberknocker, and even leading up to it, he was all about getting those snakes into my face.
I think he gets some of those snakes, but like I was saying, he wasn't using Cetra necessarily very offensively. I mean, Cetra's pretty. I mean, he's not like the end all be all, but Ren 2 damage 3.
Yeah,
he's not a slouch.
Right.
And he's kind of like all the games I've been playing with him, he's been keeping Cetra in the back, not wanting Cetra to die.
Well, that's what he does with all his character models.
Yeah, so he's very defensive with a lot of his character models, should I say. Those snakes he'll set up to die, but his character models he's really defensive about. So with his new list, I'm actually going to try to play into that, because right now, like I said, he doesn't have artifacts to buff the death save that he gets with the Legion's ability. Yeah. So I think we're going to try making those snakes just a little bit more durable. Maybe give them Mystic Shield, give them a 5-up death save, so they'll be on a 3-up in combat with a 5-up special save.
Sounds pretty scary to me.
I mean, they won't be putting out maybe as much damage without, the +1 to hit and +1 to wound with Cetra, but we've got other ways to give them rerolls and make them quick. So I'm hoping maybe if he learns to use his characters a little bit more aggressively, that it'll work out for him. I think we're even going to be able to fit a Morgul in there.
Ooh.
Make Stormcast players cry.
Yeah.
Hey, stop it. Not very nice.
So, yeah, we're working on that. Hopefully get that put... Actually, I need to do that this week, get that put together so you can start practicing that.
Oh. Are you going to let him paint the Morgul?
No, I'm going to paint that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So that might go in my Flesh Eater Quartz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Army. Yeah. And then, like I said, was reading my Tree Man rules this week and discovered he had a command ability, which I had been forgetting for a couple games.
Yeah.
Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Lets him, any unit within 10 inches lets him reroll saves of 1. And of course, the Chronoth Hunters, with their special ability, they're always considered within range of him.
Yeah.
And then they radiate it out 8 inches or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty much a whole army's rerolling 1. So all my treemen have a 2-up rerolling 1s. The Chronoth Hunters get 4-up re-rolling ones on the turn they charge, and then after that they're doing their defensive stance. So they're on a 4-up or a 3-up probably because they're in the trees.
Yeah,
re-rolling, which is pretty brutal.
Yeah, that's certainly what made me wonder about the Iron Jaws. The lack of being able to put mortal wounds through to get past that.
Yeah, get past.
So
yeah,
you're just gonna have to beat it down.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brutal war of attrition.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got that, and then I discovered he also has an ability that lets him grow trees on a 4+. Like I said, helps if you
read your rules.
If you read your rules.
Yeah, it's crazy the things they'll give you if you read the rule book.
So that's what I said. I originally had, I think, 2 branch witches in there. One was going to drop an acorn, and I was going to give them both the spell to grow trees. Because in my first game I played with it, Andrew was, with his crazy conga line, able to reach across the board and kill her turn 1. So after that, I wasn't growing any more trees. Yeah. Well, I know that the Tree Lord had it, so he could still be growing stuff. So I'm actually able to save some points there. Like I said, throwing 4 units of Chronoth Hunters, which I think that's where the power is.
Absolutely.
And maybe making one of those units bigger will help with the spell that all the wizards gain in that formation, because they can actually bring back a model that's been slain. So
fun times.
You knock it down, just like those snakes be popping back up.
The Chumbawamba of Age of Sigmar.
Isn't there a death? I don't know if it's a trait or what that allows you to destroy a piece of terrain.
That's destruction.
Is it destruction?
Yeah. Destruction.
I thought it might have been death. I was going to say he needs to take that one. He's playing against your Sylvan.
Well, we were discussing that with Elric's. Like, he's got that, but it's only 1 forest. There's going to be 3 other forests like right near him.
Oh, it's only once per game?
No. It's a terrain feature within 6 inches, 3 or 6 inches of the general.
Right.
So I think it'll still be useful against Sylvaneth players, because it'll just, especially if like I take a foot boss or something like that, and I'll have a big block of brutes next to him, so he negates the trees so that they don't lose any models for charging or running through it, and then the Sylvaneth models don't gain +1 to their armor because they don't count as being in terrain, because essentially the terrain's not there anymore. So it'll reduce their save a little more. I think it'll be good. It just makes that one unit around your boss kind of the hitty unit. But that's fine, because you could kind of maybe use some of your other stuff to tie up.
Just gotta hope that they don't.
It's really hard to tie up. So
I was gonna say it's gonna be. You're hoping that I don't put my whole army down turn 1. Go first, teleport a unit or 2 with the Durthu. You think he's got like 15-inch range with 6 attacks doing D3 damage with Rend 1. Kurnoth Hunters with bows.
Oh yeah.
Snipe him out, and then
yeah. Well,
it happens. I mean, it's
sure.
It's one of those.
You got to anticipate the Sylvaneth player deploying trees.
Yeah, because I mean,
place.
I guess Iron Jaws had the ability to deploy their entire army as 1 drop 2.
Yeah.
So be it. No.
I could take it all into an Iron Jaw or an Iron Fist, but that doesn't incorporate any of my characters.
Ah, okay.
Oh,
so that's for the Sylvaneth.
Yeah, Sylvaneth and Bone Splitters, and
it's like basically take your whole thing and then take whatever other Sylvaneth models you want. So
just cram the rest of the army in and get more benefits for them as well. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm pretty sure Beastclaw Raiders have the same feature. All the newer books have formations, those great big formations, but are still usable.
Yeah,
in a normal game.
Yeah, because Stormcast have those, but it's like good luck
getting
those
in. Take the whole book.
Well, it's a whole chamber.
It's a whole chamber, so you're taking 3,000 points worth of Stormcast.
Iron Jaws have a Brawl, which is a war boss, a couple characters, and then a minimum of like 5 of the other formations in the book.
Yeah.
So it's.
But that's Apocalypse Age of Sigmar. So,
right. Right.
I still would love to do that one day.
Oh, it's coming. We'll throw down one of these days. Yeah. Some great big, crazy game. So that pretty much your realm of battle then?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Telling you, Bill, it's a fun game. You should try it sometime.
I've heard a lot of good things about this game. I think I might get into it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I might buy a couple of things. And
I've noticed you've bought some stuff for it.
Yeah.
It's here and there.
I'm a collector.
Yeah. Yeah. Said the heroin junkie.
Yeah, that's right. I can stop at any time.
Sure.
I can.
Sure.
I'm just going to Games Workshop store this weekend, but I could stop. I didn't have to go there. I'm sure there's something you guys want me to buy.
Yeah, maybe so.
The realm of lore.
Where tonight we're going to talk about mostly the ITC, just integrated Age of Sigmar into it. So what that's going to mean for what we predict that may mean, I guess, for the scene, and how we anticipate it for the LVO, and just a general discussion of not just the ITC, but maybe where we're hoping tournaments go here in the States.
Yeah. I mean, it's because we were listening to Scrubbing Wells episode number 2.
Yeah.
And he had Jeff on there, and he brought up some very good points. Like, I was thinking this up beforehand. I think we've mentioned on a couple previous episodes.
For sure.
But just kind of reiterated my fears.
Yeah.
Or possible fears of what could happen.
Well, it's the truth.
Well, so
let's start at the beginning. So Frontline Gaming this week announced ITC rankings are live for AOS.
right, they already have a top 10. They've got scored events. So.
Yeah, and so what? Anyone, if you guys don't know, ITC is a rankings event. TOs run events. They say they get in with ITC. ITC promotes them, puts them on their website. TOs turn those scores into the ITC. They put it all in a big system and give players rankings. See who's the best. I think they run it by seasons. I think their season begins and ends with LVO.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's and then they kind of
Yeah, except for this first year, it's a LVO to LVO thing.
One of the big benefits as well is the ITC has a standardized rules system, like a Q&A errata that they use, is now being adjusted based off of this is in regards to 40K, that is adjusted off the FAQs that Games Workshop has been putting out. But it allows tournament organizers to have a set of guidelines that they can use when making rules judgments at their own events and things, which is kind of nice to have sometimes.
Yeah, it's so I think the ITC for 40K is pretty positive.
It is.
Sure.
It gives some structure, like you said, for the rules. You know what you're getting into when you go to that event. If they say it's ITC, FAQ, ITC things, because different places interpret rules differently, play things differently. So you just get a clear cut. This is what you're expecting. This is what you're gonna have. You can prepare beforehand.
And to be clear, when they do these packs for the tournaments and their facts and how they interpret the rules, they send it out to everybody that does the tournaments.
It's open. A good deal of it's open to the community.
Yeah, and it's not just, Reese decided this is how
they put it.
They get the feedback, they put it all into a big pot and say, this is what the community wants to do.
Yeah, they open it to voting.
So it's an aggregate set of rules, not just Reese Robbins said we're doing it this way.
Right.
Exactly. And it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very good.
For your competitive gamers, you get it, see how you rank up against other players, I'm the best order player, I'm the best death player,
They used to have that for 8th edition fantasy.
Yeah, someone was running ranking HQ.
HQ, yeah.
Which was, it was cool. I always thought that was a cool idea. Helps get people to tournaments, because they want to earn those points. They want to, do better. Helps your tournaments be larger, because the larger the tournament, the more points they're worth. Because I think you need like 2 GTs to qualify for your rankings to actually really matter, I think.
Yeah, well, I think maybe to get into the Masters, you had to have 2 qualifying events.
Well, I think ITC is like that too.
Okay.
I think you have to have 2 what they qualify as GT. I'm not sure what that. I think it's like maybe 50 more players. Something like that, where you just can't play a weekly little tournament in your basement every week. And I got first every week. I'm the number one. I'm the number 1 LR player
at the store, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I think where they have you have to have a GT win or something like that to validate your score. So I mean, I've been looking forward to this. I know we've mentioned it before. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, because I definitely want to utilize it in any events that we run here. Just because I think it'll put us on the map a little more and incentivize people to come. I don't want that to sound like the events here will be super cutthroat or anything like that. And I think that's one thing that we wanted to discuss as well, is with the change in with the change in Age of Sigmar right now, there's been a lot of 40K players coming over, and a lot of them are tournament going 40K players. And I don't want anything that I say to sound like I'm taking nasty digs at 40K players
No,
at all.
we all play 40K occasionally,
Right.
you know, so.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true that 40K events do not really utilize sportsmanship. And so you can get some pretty nasty games of 40K when stuff is on the line. Like, you know, at Adepticon, they had a cruise in Mexico or something like that as a grand prize. And
when you get actual money on the line,
people start getting pretty nasty with each other. It no longer becomes a game. And that type of competitiveness draws a certain type of player.
Yeah.
And those players are now looking to Age of Sigmar because it looks like a fun, cool game.
Yeah.
And it is. And now that this general handbook is out, you have structure to it and everything. And
yeah, and actually, I want to mention that it's not even just with the 40K. I mean, we had the Northeast in 8th edition.
some of the...
Those guys are super hyper competitive and kind of...
let that sports kind of go by the wayside. But
they're just a bunch of Northeast whackers. Just say it. I'm from Connecticut. I can say it.
Fair enough. I'm really trying to think of how I could be the most diplomatic about. Maybe I'll just say what I want to say, then do damage control afterwards if it offends anyone. Because I certainly don't intend to offend anybody. But I think what we're concerned about is creating a competitive environment for Age of Sigmar that's healthy, that respects sportsmanship and the hobby as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't want that to exclude anybody from that is a 40K crossover or those older hardcore 8th edition guys that left when Age of Sigmar dropped and now are kind of like, well, maybe I'll check it out with the handbook. And I totally, you know, if they want to come back to the game or jump in on the game or whatever, that's great. You know, as long as if the community continues to grow, I would just like to get ahead of it
before it becomes an issue.
Before it becomes an issue, and all of a sudden your Age of Sigmar tournaments are just like these crazy balls to the walls, no sportsmanship, just dwarven and elven 40K games.
I mean, because you know me, I'm a competitive player. I bring the filth. You know, when I play a game, I play to win. Even like when I play my son, I don't. You know, there's no easy mode.
Punches.
I don't pull punches on him.
Literally.
You know?
No, I'm just kidding.
No. You know, I treat him like I would
an opponent.
Any other opponent. You know, through the game, I'll say, hey, you might consider doing this. You might, want to do that. Or afterwards, we'll say, hey, I think this is the wrong move you did. Or that was actually pretty good. I think that was the right call. Something like that. And, I want to think. I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong here. When we play, I'm competitive, but I think my opponents still have a good time.
Yes, James. I have a great deal of fun playing you.
Oh, is that the party line?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, actually, I think you are a great example of what it's like to play a really tight tournament-style game against somebody who's fun to play against.
Yeah, I mean...
that's like the ultimate goal of a competitive player.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because I think in the 40K tournament we play, like, I had my Kairos, he had a 3-up save with rerolling ones. Some Storm Raven came in. He did like 4 or 5 wounds. I rolled 3 2s. It's like, oh shit, like, But at that point I didn't go like, oh, that's so against the odds. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, it happens.
It drives me nuts when people are like, oh, statistically that's not supposed to happen. I was like, well, you did roll dice. So I don't know if you were there when you did that, but there's.
It's like it's like that's the way I play. It's like supposed maybe it shouldn't happen. It happened. Oh well, it's a game. We're here to have fun.
That's the idea. Yeah.
I want to win, but
nothing always breaks your way.
Fun is also a big part of it too. I'm not here. I always say my fluff is winning, but
there you go.
Yeah.
But I'm also there to have fun. I mean,
sure.
That's what it's all about.
I hope that's what everyone's there to do.
And, the one thing I have to say about the community growing and, with ITC coming in, one thing I've always noticed about the bigger organized format tournaments, you don't see a lot of that jerk play. At the big opens,
like BAO,
Adepticon, LVO, BAO, you never get reports out of there about how there was this whole group of guys that were just jerks. People are playing tough lists, but they're also playing for fun, and it's a community. One thing I've noticed, whenever you hear the reports from Reese about, and he might have a bias because it's his tournaments, but the people that go to it also say the same thing. It's a lot of fun. There was great people. Paul Murphy's stuff out there in Atlanta, that whole area. They're always having fun. They're having a great time. It's the pub crawl where everybody shows up. So I don't think you see that at the big things. Right. I think you see it at the smaller level tournaments.
I don't know. I think the 40K championship at Adepticon got pretty heated.
Sure.
About 2 years ago or so.
Yeah.
That crazy prize was on the line.
Yeah.
It sounded like it got kind of crazy. I don't know exactly.
I think the other thing that's going to help us out, even the ITC, I think is going to be a great thing for the game as a whole, because this system is so open. It's unlike 40K, where there's about 10 or 15 things that work, and the rest is just junk you used to fill. In this game, you could come up with the most incredible, amazing mixed list of Sylvaneth and Iron Jaws, and this is the tournament killer list. And the guy right next to you has the list that kills your tournament killer list.
Yeah, I think we kind of saw that at the Warlords.
Yeah.
When we had this last weekend. I mean, you saw. I think the winning list was the Bone Splitters with the big, huge 40-man unit of orcs that fires 400 shots a turn. I mean, and they were kind of discussing that. Like, this isn't the end all be a list. I think if Ben Johnson had played him with his 4-man Fulminator unit.
Oh, yeah.
He would have had, because those guys have no rend.
Yeah.
The Fulminators get a 2-up save, rerolling ones.
Yeah.
They just go in there and...
That's what I said right when
face.
I heard Facehammer do a review of the Bone Splitters. I was like, yeah, it sounds terrifying until they come up against Fulminators. Like, 4 Fulminators walk through an entire Bone Splitters army.
Yeah, they make them disappear with their 3-up damage on the charge, plus their 2 damage mortal wounds breath afterwards. I mean, even if they put one buff on them, okay, well then in combat they're still doing the 2-up rerolling ones,
right?
Not just against shooting. So I mean, there's lots of counters. I mean, we saw a pretty good variety of lists. I think. Game 1 was pretty random. That was Fire Slayers and Bloodbound. Game 2 we had Ben Curry's Chaos Dwarfs and Ben Johnson's Stormcast.
Oh yeah.
And game 3, we had
Iron Jaws and Death.
Yep. A mixed death. It wasn't a pretty good mixed death. And then game 4 was Terry's mixed Chaos Army with cherry picking the best of everything with some Storm Fiends and Kairos and Demons and stuff against the Bone Splitters.
Yeah.
And then game 5 was Russ's Bloodbound versus...
I don't remember.
Mind blank here. But so the point is that we saw a huge variety of lists at those top tables. Well, there wasn't just one list. When you see a 40K tournament's top 10 7 of them are Eldar, the other 3 are Tau.
Was it Ben Curry? I don't know if it was on Curry's podcast, but he was, or no, I think it might have been Heelan. On their way back, they were saying, so people were asking him, "What's the meta? What's the meta?" And their answer was, "There isn't one."
Yeah, I know.
You can't. I could come up, like I said, I could come up with the world's best list tomorrow, the tournament killer list, and lose 3 straight games because it runs up against its hard counter.
Yeah, well, I think that's the beauty of the 4 Grand Alliances, is that the more you focus in one direction with this alliance to generate, to kind of maybe capitalize on a specific style of play, it just means that there's an opposite from another alliance that counters it. Yeah.
And that's the other beauty of it is GW is watching this.
Absolutely.
And if they see it start to swing silly one way, I'm kind of surprised you didn't see any changes out of that Season of War campaign where it was like order and nothing else.
Well, Chaos was a solid second, but it fell off. Destruction was pretty far down, and the Death was just like...
Death was even not...
The funny thing about that is, though, Order did get in campaign, but when you're looking at all these tournaments, even like, I think Reign of Stars and some of the other ones, like, Order didn't finish
near
the top. I mean, it's like Death and Destruction that are...
Order didn't even... I mean, there was a couple in the top
10. I think Ben Johnson was like 5th or something with Stormcast. Yeah. I mean... People always, Stormcast, or they're teleporting and stuff. Crush it. And it's like, he didn't have a teleport banner, which I think is suboptimal anyway.
Yeah.
And, he's Stormcast, and he landed up 5th. So they're not people for as much as grief as a lot of people give Stormcast. They're not lighting up the tournament world.
And nobody is. And I know I've made that mistake before about telling you how the Seraphon are going to suck in any sort of competitive play. And I was telling you earlier today, I'm not so sure that I'm not going to eat some Major Crow over that one.
Literally unplayable.
Literally unplayable in matched play.
He's going to have that for his for a shirt.
I will have a shirt with that on it. Yeah. Seraphon are literally unplayable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but yeah, I'm going to eat a lot of Crow on that one because, with the first half a dozen read-throughs I did, I was like, wow, these guys are the biggest set of glass cannons. Then you realize when you put this with this and this with this and this on top of that, and that's not going to, you can't stop that.
Yeah.
So that's going to keep, I think, any of that. I'm not as worried about the environment getting toxic than I think you guys are, because I don't think it's going to. Even if you brought over the worst of the other game system, if you took the worst War Machine guys and the worst 40K guys and the worst Drop Zone Commander guys,
all 2 of them.
Yeah, well,
I'm kidding. I know a lot of people enjoy that game.
So, but if you even brought the worst of them, they're not gonna. I don't think they could really have a solid impact. Number one, if I run into a guy I don't like playing, I don't play him again. Period.
Well,
Number two,
at a tournament though, would you forfeit a game to not have to play?
But you know what? If I run into my hard counter list, I have to look at the table and go, yeah, this one's gonna hurt. I just have to survive and move on. Try not to let my entire army get killed. Try not to get tabled.
Well, that's the beauty of that bring 2 list option.
Exactly. I mean, there's all kinds of ways around it. So
we'll see. I mean, I think we'll see where it goes in the coming months.
We will. I think it'll show.
I think we'll definitely have a stronger opinion backed by better evidence after we go to the LVO and see firsthand what the ITC brings. And that's going to be like the premier AOS event in the States.
Probably for now. I mean,
Adepticon, it's going to be the biggest.
But GW, well, when is Adepticon? March?
It's like a month afterwards.
Yeah. And
GW is going to that. They may not have announced it, but they're going.
Okay,
There's no way they'd avoid that one.
Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, like I said on the script. I mean, I think another good point on Scorpion Wells they brought up was we as an AOS community need to decide what is acceptable and what is not acceptable at our tournaments.
Oh yeah, where they talked about doing some kind of a agreed upon mantra style.
Yeah, or if we see unacceptable attitudes, unacceptable behavior, we need to point it out and not just sweep it under the rug and be like, oh, that's that's what happens at tournaments. We need to like, hey, you know what? That
it only happens at tournaments because we allow it to happen.
Right.
Exactly. And so we just kind of need to get behind that and be like, not necessarily call people out, but maybe take them to the side and be like, hey, we heard what was going on last game. That's not acceptable. We don't want that at our tournaments.
Just get a burlap sack, fill it with potatoes, write shame bag on it, and just beat them with the shame bag.
I still kind of like the old. I forgot what tournament used to do it. I don't know if it was Dragon Con or which one, but they did the old soccer style yellow card for being a. And what I liked was when you got there, you had already sent your list, and when you got there and you got your first set of pairings, you would get your pairing sheet, and if you got a yellow card with it, they were just telling you that your list is cheesy. Okay?
Really?
So that's your first yellow card. Yeah. They're going to let you play your list.
That seems so subjective, though.
And it was, but it made it a lot. And what they did is they turned it into a joke, but it was a very serious thing because you've already got your yellow card for running a cheesy list. If you get another yellow card, you're done. So, I mean, the only thing they made you do was, I believe, for 2 yellow cards, you sat out a turn. Not a game, a turn. So imagine just giving your opponent 2 turns straight. Even in AOS, we kind of do that all the time, but you're getting one.
Yeah.
Just imagine losing the roll and then losing a turn. So that's 3 turns you lose.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
I'm not saying it would work these days.
Yeah.
It was funny back then. Of course, keep in mind we were playing Rogue Trader back then, so
fair
it's
enough.
Not anything as big as this. But the thing is you wore your yellow card kind of proud, going, "Yeah, I'm bringing the cheese." So, but I mean, go to some system like that where if a guy's a jerk, just walk by and hand him a card and say, "Dude, one more time."
That's the thing, though, is do you want to do that out in the open?
No, I would just hand it to him.
Oh, but people are going to see it.
Sure.
And
maybe there's a little bit of that, maybe not. Because you sure as hell want his opponent to see that you guys saw that he was being a jerk and you're doing something about it. So if you do it completely privately, you lose any impact. But,
I think, you're right. I think there's a...
So you want to add just a hint of public shaming to it?
Yeah, I mean, not a...
You're not doing Game of Thrones. Yeah,
right.
Walk behind naked, yelling shame. Yeah.
I
But
don't really need that. But you need something to let people know, hey, your behavior is not acceptable for this tournament. For instance, bringing Iron Jaws. I would say, no, that's not acceptable.
Bill, I can't wait until you get your first game against Sylvaneth, and it's going to be so sweet.
Yeah, they're nothing. They're just two people.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I don't think I've ever been to a place where you kind of call someone out like that. I don't know what kind of an impact that would have to hand a card or something like that. Interesting. I do like some of the stuff that I've seen that I do like. Is it Slobberknocker where they had the thing where if you drop out, if you forfeit a game,
yeah, you're done.
You're done.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that because some of the events I've run here over the years, there's people that will come in, and they're all one-day events. And generally with a one-day event, you got to win all your games. So if you lose that first game, then you kind of already know that there's no chance.
Yeah.
These guys would come in, play their first game, get tabled, and then just leave. And now it kind of leaves you as a event organizer to fill that gap. Does a player now go without a game round 2 because there's a bye? Or I got to the point where those individuals just weren't allowed to play in a tournament.
Yeah, I mean that could be the next step too. You give people warnings and then say, hey, you know what? We don't want your attitude at our tournament. Sorry. I mean, yeah, we might hurt our numbers. But, going people of attendees because they're going to have friends or whatever. That might be.
Yeah, that's a question you got to ask yourself: is would I rather call this individual out and know that I'm probably going to lose them from coming back, or do I stay quiet about it and then he affects the games of so many other people, and then those people don't want to come back because they're going to associate that with my event, and it'll just leave a sour taste in their mouth. So it's kind of a
well, and as you go on, and if you have that guy that's going to quit after game 1, well, okay, let's say he wins game 1 and he's all jazzed and he's going to stay,
and then loses.
Now he loses game 2 and he leaves. Now he's having an even bigger impact.
Yeah,
because he's scored those points. He's taken points away from somebody. So, do I even want that guy at a tournament? No, I don't.
No,
leave. You're a jerk.
Exactly.
And so if you win the tournament, it's going to be even worse. Now you're going to have a head full of yourself. Let's just admit we hate people.
Right.
So on a more positive note, maybe, I was trying to think of solutions to this problem. I know we've mentioned, telling people what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. Another solution that I was thinking of is maybe Games Workshop could put something out. Maybe put out like a tournament,
etiquette guideline.
Tournament, some code of conduct. I mean, not every tournament is going to stick to it, but like this is how we think tournaments should be scored. You do the games, and then painting counts and favorite opponent votes count. I mean, that's another thing that they were talking about is maybe not necessarily doing
a sportsmanship
score, but maybe favorite opponent votes. Because I know in most tournaments, unless you have like a super terrible game where you guys are yelling across the table at each other and calling a judge every 2 minutes, most people just mark the other opponent 5.
Give max points. Yeah. In hopes that they get max points.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think the idea of voting a best opponent and maybe a runner-up if it's like a 5 or 6 game event or something like that is probably.
So I think that's how they were scoring Warlords. I think because it was like major victories, minor victories for a tiebreaker, with painting nominations going towards a minor victory, and then it went to favorite opponent votes, and then the last thing was points.
And I kind of like the way they did that because they emphasized winning.
Yes.
But then the next category was being a good guy before it came down to slaughtering somebody just for the fun of it.
Yeah, because I know we had talked to someone in our group about that this week, and they were thought it was kind of strange that you'd go that many rounds and get a favorite opponent vote, which I thought was kind of like
that you would win that many rounds.
that you could win that many rounds and get a favorite opponent vote. I was like, yeah, it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you listen to the latest Healing Hammer where they're talking about Wayne was a little salty on the road, on the drive home, about how it worked out. But then after a while, after thinking about it, they came around and said, no, actually, it was a good thing that it came out that, that it worked that way.
Yeah.
Because I guess Dan Heelan moved up the rankings quite a bit because he got a painting nomination.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Wayne was bringing up this whole thing about you had guys in 74th that had won 4 games, 4 minor victories, but they hadn't had a major victory yet. So they were way down the list, almost to the point of, why be here for tournament scoring? Whereas the guy that had 1 major victory and then a series of losses was actually higher up the list than that guy that had 4 wins. So they were kind of questioning that whole major wins, then minor wins. Should have probably been wins, period, and then ranked by whether they were major or minor. So, I don't know.
Possibly.
But then really when they did, because that was in the Saucy show, the extra content, on the drive home, that he was kind of a little, what was that all about? And then I guess they thought about it, talked about it. By the time they did the regular podcast, he was all, yeah, this is how it worked, and it was good. That it was victories, then sportsmanship, and then after that, if you needed more tiebreak, it was, what did you kill?
I know, didn't Gary Hennessy win an event? Or he got best sports by playing Nagash, and he won
Oh, yeah.
like a bunch of his games, too. And, you would maybe assume that he wouldn't get best sports playing a model like that. But, I don't know, it comes down to the player, the person.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It really does. I mean, you can play Archeon and still not
Right.
a jerk.
you could play Iron Jaws and still be fun to play against Bill.
Well, I don't know anyone who could pull that off. But sorry, I'm kidding. It was a fun game.
Yeah.
And it was my fault I lost.
Yes,
So,
it was.
Yes, it was. So
Got to roll your dice harder.
Well, I do, and I need to deploy not like an idiot, and a lot of things went into that loss.
Yeah. So yeah, that might have sounded a bit like rambling. I hope we kind of made a point. I don't know if we did.
I'd be interested to see what the other people in the community think.
Yeah, I'd like to get some feedback.
Just to get some
about
discussion going about what constitutes,
question, comment, concern about the future of tournaments now that we're going to have a
organized play.
Like an independent organized play.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that independent organized play is going to be at an event that Games Workshop is running at the LVO. So that'll be an interesting mix as well, to see if maybe they have any kind of an impact on it as well. I don't know.
Well, if GW is smart, and I hesitate to say that they are these days. Well, they are. They've done
Hater.
Huh? No, they've been doing a lot of things a lot smarter lately. You get a guy like Reese Robbins in your camp.
Oh, yeah. Well, they already did. Him and Frankie went on like a 6-year-long tour of England, apparently.
Yeah.
It felt like, and went to Warhammer World and talked to him and everything.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the whole idea, is you get that guy in your camp, and you get him to, help you, work with you, to bring the game to where you want it to be together. They've pretty much solved the problem immediately.
Yeah.
So, because, I mean, the LVO format, the ITC format for this year is a hodgepodge, and they've admitted that. Because it was new, they're just kind of throwing it together. They're just doing it in the 4 big grand alliances.
Right.
So, it's just what they can get done this year. Next year, it's going to be with the ITC rules and interpretations and all that stuff. And it very well might be that they get their interpretations direct from GW. So, who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
I'll quit rambling because now I'm doing it.
Maybe on a positive note, we had some feedback.
Yeah,
Listener?
so we got an email.
Woohoo! It's almost like a voicemail, but better. Sorry.
This is from Zachary Johnson. He writes, "Hey guys, I'm writing to you from sunny northern Colorado, the Fort Collins / Loveland area.
Nice.
Just wanted to say you guys are putting on a great show, and I appreciate how down-to-earth and level-headed you guys are.
Well, we blew that tonight.
Rolling Bad is now my most anticipated podcast and on my commute. I am brand new to tabletop wargaming and have only been in the hobby/game since this past April when I picked up the Age of Sigmar starter box on a whim to get back into mini painting. I painted a few Hero Quest and Dark World minis way back in the day. 5 months and 4 armies later, and I am hooked on the game and the hobby.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, the guy ain't playing around. What are you guys hoping to see release-wise from Games Workshop for Age of Sigmar? We've been in a drought since the summer campaign ended as far as AOS is concerned. Are you hoping to see smaller releases to add on to current armies, more Stormcast, more Bloodbound, or perhaps larger updates to the other factions with new models, i.e. a lot of the Slaanesh stuff is metal or Finecast? Thoughts? Keep up the great work, guys. My buddies and I are already planning to attend the next Rolling Bad Rumble and make the 8-hour drive down to join in. Cheers. Zach.
I owe that guy a beer. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Well, thanks, Zach. I mean, it's really cool to get feedback, especially so positive. I definitely look forward to having you down here for the Rolling Bad Rumble. To answer your question, basically what do we want to see release-wise coming up for Games Workshop and Age of Sigmar? You guys want to tackle it first? So I know what I want, but
I'm actually probably hoping for the bigger releases, like he said. Instead of, I think a lot of the existing armies already have enough out there.
Yeah.
Some of them do.
Some of them do. Like, I know you think Fire Slayers don't necessarily have enough.
It'd be cool to see maybe another unit or something.
I think dwarves.
Maybe to fix that would I remember there was rumors of another compendium thing coming out with all the allegiance abilities for all the other factions. So maybe something like that along the lines, and then start cranking out those other factions and fleshing them out. Because I'm really interested to see what they do with the existing factions that are pretty small. Because I mean, Sylvaneth at one point was just Treekin, Tree Man, and Dryads. Mm-hmm. And now look at the range. I mean, it's pretty freaking sweet. It's a full-on army. It's pretty sweet. They got their own, lore and everything else, and it's actually, pretty playable. So I'm very excited to see what they can do with some of those smaller factions that are in that same boat.
Yep. Elves and dwarves, man. I want to see what they're going to do.
Yeah, I find myself wanting to know where some of the more old school established armies are going. I'm torn because right now I've kind of limited myself back down to just my destruction. I've been getting rid of all my other stuff, and I've been eyeballing my next army. I don't know, like I feel like I can't really make a solid choice because I don't want to do Stormcast and I don't want to do Chaos of any real variety. So that leaves Seraphon and Fire Slayers that have been updated so far so it's kind of like, well, the armies that I'm interested in are like Dwarden, the Dispossessed. I don't want to dump a bunch of money on these like older 8th edition kits if they're going to be replaced in 6 months to a year by a reimagining of what Dwarden are in Age of Sigmar and stuff like that. That's as crazy as the release schedule has been since Age of Sigmar has launched. It still feels like we're so far away from having some really key aspects of it, such as the elves, the Dwarden, humans. What are just regular humans up to anymore? Is that even a thing?
Well, and there hasn't even been a teaser yet that I know of what's coming at. We're done with the Realm Gate Wars. What's next?
Yeah.
Is it going to be rediscovering old civilizations or?
Yeah, so that's like the only mention of Dwarden we've had is like all these great. It's like playing Skyrim. Yeah. Like you just find all these old dwarven ruins, but there's no dwarves anywhere.
Yeah, there's no dwarves anywhere.
So it'd be interesting to see if they ever touch on that. What's Nagash been up to?
Yeah.
Is there some crazy new potential release for Death? That I enjoy the little tidbits that existing armies that have already gotten updates get here and there, like the Bloodbound got the new Slaughter Priest variant, which looked really good. I'm trying to think of if there's another army that's already been out with Age of Sigmar that got like a small release. I don't really think so.
Not really.
Yeah, but
everything got a pretty major treatment.
Yeah, it is cool though that they could slip that in. It seems fairly easily to maybe in 6 months release another Stormcast character.
Right.
And just be like, here's just a guy, here's a combat version of a prosecutor character.
Or they might even do a whole chamber like they did with Extremis, just here's the mages.
Well, but that would be like I think that would constitute a big release.
That is a major release.
I'm talking about like
right.
just little tidbits that could. I think that with the style of marketing and the game where it is now, that's so much easier to do than it ever has been before in Warhammer Fantasy. You can just release a character or a unit that looks cool and you think would sell, and I'm sure it would, just to reinvigorate players who have that army that haven't really seen anything.
And it might have gotten a little stale.
Right. And again, though, we have to come back to what I was saying in a previous episode where you can't pigeonhole yourself into thinking like, oh, I only play Stormcast Eternals. Well, no, you play Order, so why not? If the next Order book comes out, there's nothing stopping you from just freely integrating those units into your existing army. Even small little tidbit releases can just be absorbed by you if it's for your Grand Alliance. So, but that's what I'm looking forward to the most is like the bigger releases addressing the existing lines. I mean, it'd be cool to see like a whole new army again for sure, because Stormcast was such a cool.
Yeah.
I know I bag on them, but they are such an amazing line. Bloodbound are a new army, but mortal Khorne warriors have been around since the game was.
Do you actually think they need another new army? I don't think. I mean, I always hear people saying, "Oh, they need a Wolfman army or something else." I don't think they need any more new armies. I think they have enough existing material to build out from.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good deal of time before we see something like the Stormcast again, where they just create something completely from scratch. Fire Slayers obviously borrow heavily from Slayers of the old world with a sprinkling of Chaos Dwarf, and they're kind of like an amalgamation of pre-existing Duarden with a healthy influx of their own flavor. So, and that's kind of how Khorne Bloodbound are, and Iron Jaws and stuff like that. I think what you're more likely to see is something like with the elves, because I can almost guarantee they're going to get away from the high elf, dark elf, wood elf aesthetic, and instead they'll just, because elves are currently like, I don't know, 12 different separate factions of little bits here and there, and that might just be something as a temporary holdover until they completely relaunch elves, and then elves could just be a single army, but there's individual units that have that old school influence. Yeah. Like here's a more malicious looking elf unit that looks cruel and lethal. Here's like an elf unit that looks more regal and noble, and then here's like an elven unit that is more stealthy and stuff, but they're all elves of the same thing, but they kind of have hints of that.
I get old world,
Or they just go in a completely different direction, and like here's elves that are just jacked up on some crazy drug they found in the mortal realms, and now they're just like super badass warriors that go around, and they're all 8 feet tall, head to toe, crazy armor. I don't know. It's Age of Sigmar. Anything's possible.
Yep.
It's true.
So
you could have, in that army, leaders that change the character of the units.
Yeah.
So, I mean, their possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I think that's what kind of drives me nuts, too, is like, I just want more content.
Yes.
I just want to see more.
Show me my next army.
Yeah, exactly. So, hopefully we answered his question.
I hope so.
Big army stuff, but mostly I'm just eager for anything new.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize just how bad this drought was after. I know we got Beast Claw Raiders, but for me that's such like a footnote release. I still have not sat down with that book and seen.
Don't tell Chad that. He might hurt his feelings.
Nobody cares about you.
Yes, we hate all people.
I really do want to sit down with them because I think they're a cool army for sure. just big monsters and everything like that. But I just still haven't done it, and that was the last kind of big thing we got for Age of Sigmar. That was like 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
6 weeks ago. Come on, man, we need a hit.
Yeah, we need a little something.
Give me some of that good stuff. GW, come on.
Well, I think 40K's got to get its love because there was a good solid year there almost where they were an afterthought. So
yeah. Now they got it. They can go away.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You got more power arm. Good for you.
Yeah, okay. You got special nifty guys in suits. Okay, wow, cool. Now go play.
Yeah.
Well, we deal with the real adults. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that.
No.
I bought all the 40K stuff. It's on the table.
Yeah. Still in shrink wrap like everything else you
Yes,
own.
I am the collector.
Yeah.
It's gonna be my superhero character name.
Yeah.
So, are we ready to wrap it?
Realm of See You Later.
Yeah, that's what this is.
Yeah. So, if you guys have any questions or comments, feedback, want to make fun of us, I don't know, whatever.
Please leave us an iTunes review.
Actually, this show won't go live immediately, so I can still do it, and it's relevant when the show goes out. So what I'm going to do is actually what I suggest everyone does. If you listen to this podcast, then I can't imagine there's anybody who exclusively listens to us and not any of the other podcasts. So here's what you should do while you're listening to this podcast, but not while you're driving. Don't do that.
Safety.
Yeah. If you get your podcast through iTunes, just go through the list of the podcasts you listen to and just leave a review for each one.
Yep.
It'll take like 10, 15 minutes, but it means a lot to the people who make the shows to get that little bit of feedback. It lets us know that there's people listening, and it's not just me going home and downloading the show over and over and over and over again. If you don't listen to iTunes or get your content through iTunes, what are you doing with your life? Get an Apple product. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally joking. I actually don't know any of the other. Can you leave reviews through like Google Store Maps? Whatever they use.
Google
Play Store.
Google Play Store.
Yeah.
That's where. Okay. Oh God, I feel like such a Neanderthal.
Well, I didn't want to say anything that.
We're on iHeartRadio.
Yeah.
Yes, we are on iHeartRadio, and we are on Google Play, and.
But don't just do it for us. Do it for all the shows you listen to.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
I listen to probably 20 different podcasts. Not all of them are gaming related, so I just try to go down the list and leave a review for all of them. So that's your homework assignment. There you go. Bet you thought you'd never get another one of those. If you want to reach us.
A quick shout out to XGrex83X who left us our first iTunes review. So, and it was 5 stars too. So
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, we owe you one. So come down for your beer. Will buy.
What?
Well, yeah.
We'll split a Zima.
Okay. Wow, you got a lot of love.
Yeah. Just kidding. If for any reason anymore you would like to get a hold of me, I'm at Elric Edge on Twitter. Bill?
I'm at Bill Castello, Castello.
And I'm at Trissoth.
You can also hit us at rolling_bad. We all see that one.
I'll see that one.
You can email us at rollingbadpodcast@gmail.com. Bill's personal phone number is 505. Oh, and head over to Instagram, where James puts up a lot of what he's been
Amazing
doing.
work.
Yeah, there's some sweet pictures of my models. So,
Yes, this is the show that went off the rails.
yeah. All right, let's put a bullet in this one.
Yeah, it's done. It's over.
We're recording on September 19th, and I am your host, Daffy Duck, and with me are Double X and Triple X.
All that and more on tonight's episode.
Tonight we're going to be discussing the latest releases in Games Workshop, and we'll also brief discussion of politics and religion.
That'll go over well. I mean, I know if I see something. Oh, wow. Excuse me. I'm so sorry about that. I'll go to the bathroom now. I'm covering for Elric.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to stay in or not, but.
The realm of lore.
We're not going to use that one.
The realm of lore.
Nor that one.
On the what?
On the hit parade. Yeah, it's a colloquialism for old people. How can they get a hold of us, Elric?
Gently, with soft hands. I'm so,
This entire house.
I'm so tired. So tired right now. I apologize to everyone.